The boy's hands trembled slightly as he placed the crumpled paper bag on the gleaming boutique counter. Inside it, a handful of coins clinked and rolled out, scattering like desperate wishes across the glass surface. The cashier, lean, sharply dressed, and wearing an expression of thinly veiled disdain, looked at the pile, then at the boy's scuffed sneakers and patched-up jeans. "You want to buy a suit with this?" he said, his voice loud enough for everyone to hear. His co-workers behind him snickered openly. Customers nearby turned their heads, their curiosity morphing into judgment as they took in the boy's worn appearance. But he stood tall, his frame small, but his spirit unwavering, dark eyes burning with quiet determination. None of them could have predicted what would happen next. One anticipated the rumble of engines outside, the squeal of polished tires, the black SUVs pulling up to the boutique's front door like a scene lifted from a blockbuster movie. And certainly no one expected the man who stepped out, the man who would change everything. But to understand that moment, we have to rewind to the beginning. The boy named Nathan Reed. Nathan was 17, tall for his age, with thick brown curls and a demeanor that bore the marks of hardship and hope in equal measure. His life had never been easy. His mother, Celeste, worked 2 cleaning jobs to barely keep them afloat in a cramped, single-room apartment perched above a run-down laundromat. His father had disappeared when Nathan was just 7 years old, leaving behind only unpaid bills and unfulfilled promises. But Celeste had stayed. She packed lunches made of whatever scraps she could afford. She stitched Nathan's clothes late into the night with hands calloused by bleach and soap. And every single morning, she would kiss his forehead and whisper, "Rise above, Nathan. Be bigger than the life we were handed." Nathan held those words close, letting them fuel him through school days where he kept his head low, focusing on his studies while others coasted by. After school, he hustled, working double shifts at a grimy diner, washing dishes until his fingers pruned and his back ached. Every penny he earned went into an old coffee can hidden under a warped floorboard. He had one dream: to secure a full-ride scholarship to Halston Tech, a prestigious engineering university. He had already passed the brutal written exams. Now came the final stage, an in-person interview. The instructions were crystal clear. Formal attire was mandatory. There was just one problem. Nathan had never owned a suit. Not once. For weeks, he stretched himself thinner, working longer hours, skipping lunches, collecting bottles to turn in for recycling money. He sold his few treasured comic books, let go of childhood relics that had once been his only escape. And when the day finally came, he gathered his painstakingly saved money, counted every nickel, every tarnished penny, and realized he just might have enough. He walked into Harrington's boutique, the most upscale store in town, wearing hope like a second skin. He found a simple black suit tucked away on the clearance rack. Nothing flashy, just dignified, professional, respectable. And then came the counter, the sneer, the humiliation. The cashier shoved the coins back across the counter like they were contagious. "Kid, go play dress-up somewhere else." He scoffed at Nathan's face flamed, but he didn't argue. He simply started gathering the scattered coins, his fingers trembling. A silver quarter rolled across the polished floor and landed at the feet of a woman standing by the entrance. She picked it up and pocketed it wordlessly, her sharp eyes narrowing at the scene unfolding. Nathan steadied himself, voice cracking but determined. "This is everything I have. It's for my college interview." The cashier's laughter was cruel. "Even if you had $1,000, kid, that suit's not meant for people like you." Nathan's chest tightened painfully. He turned to leave, and that's when the door burst open. A sudden gust of wind carried in the sound of roaring engines and the sleek shine of black SUVs screeching to a halt outside. Uniformed drivers leapt from the vehicles, opening doors with military precision. From the first SUV, a tall, imposing man stepped out, tailored coat, silver hair, and an aura that demanded attention. The boutique staff froze, customers stiffened. The cashier who had laughed moments ago paled visibly. "That's Mr. Harrington," the cashier whispered in awe. The owner, Mr. Harrington, didn't even glance at the lavish displays. He moved like a current through the store, his gaze settling on Nathan. "This boy," Mr. Harrington said, his voice low but authoritative. "What's his name?" The cashier stammered. Uh, he. He was trying to buy a suit. With coins." Mr. Harrington's face remained unreadable. "And you laughed at him?" Silence. The woman from the entrance stepped forward. "I saw it. He was respectful. He saved every cent. They humiliated him." Mr. Harrington turned to Nathan and crouched slightly to meet his eyes. "You saved all of this for a suit?" Nathan nodded, his throat tight with emotion. "For my scholarship interview at Halston Tech." Mr. Harrington straightened. Without hesitation, he snapped his fingers once. The entire boutique sprang to life. "Get him a proper suit," Mr. Harrington barked. "Tailored. Shirt, tie, shoes. Everything. 15 minutes. Then he rides with me." The store erupted into a flurry of motion. Nathan stood frozen as two tailors swarmed him, taking measurements, barking orders at assistants. The same cashier who had sneered now served him hot tea with shaking hands. When Nathan finally stepped out wearing the new suit, a hush fell over the room. The black fabric hugged his frame perfectly. The polished shoes gleamed. He no longer looked like a boy chasing an impossible dream. He looked like someone unstoppable. "You look like you own the place," murmured the humbled cashier. Mr. Harrington smiled approvingly. "You look like a man who knows that the true measure of wealth is resilience, not riches." During the drive to the interview, Nathan told his story. About his mother, about the diner, about the dreams stitched together from sleepless nights and silent prayers. Mr. Harrington listened without interrupting, his sharp eyes glinting with something close to admiration. "You remind me of my father," he said finally. "An immigrant, poor as dust, laughed at when he tried to open a tailor shop. But he built it anyway, from a pushcart to a name known across the country." Nathan blinked. "You mean, Harrington's was started by an immigrant?" The old man chuckled. "Started by a boy with patched clothes and a head full of dreams. Just like you." The interview at Halston Tech was a triumph. When the panel asked about overcoming adversity, Nathan spoke from a place few could ever touch. He earned not just acceptance, but a full scholarship. 1 week later, Celeste Reed opened the door to find Mr. Harrington standing there with a sealed envelope. "For Nathan," he said simply. "Not charity. An investment in a future worth believing in." Inside the envelope was enough to cover 4 years of books, housing, food, and a card with a handwritten note. For every coin, there was character. And character will always be worth more than gold. Years later, Nathan didn't just graduate. He founded a tech company focused on creating educational access for underprivileged students. Kids who had talent but lacked resources, just like he once had at the launch gala. Nathan stepped up to the podium. Cameras flashed. His tailored suit fit him like a second skin, a silent testament to every hard-earned step he had taken. From the crowd, Mr. Harrington watched proudly. Beside him stood the former cashier, now a humble store manager who had long since learned the price of judgment. Nathan looked out over the sea of faces and said, "I once tried to buy a suit with a bag of coins. I walked out with a future instead." Never let the weight of your wallet define your worth. Let your heart, your will, and your purpose speak louder than anything money can buy. The crowd rose in applause, but Nathan didn't hear it. He was too busy seeing his mother's proud face at the back of the room. And beyond that, a future where no boy with patched jeans would ever have to fight alone to be seen. Because resilience, like character, was priceless, and Nathan Reed was living proof that sometimes the greatest investments are made not in stocks or bonds, but in hope. The end.